Game number 33 of the MLS regular season. Storyline a little bit different for this one. Cincinnati, Tom, a team that
Yeah,
is thinking, do they still have a chance at the Supporters Shield? Probably unlikely unless things really go their
yeah,
way. But maybe more important for this team, trying to finish with the second best record in the league and
right.
securing home field for everyone but Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think the key in the message right now is win the two games, right? And if you win the two games, you see what happens. You win those two games, you feel pretty good that you'd have that number two overall seed. That means you would host MLS Cup should you make it that far. It means you'd only have to go on the road beyond the first round one time if you were to go to Philadelphia, hypothetically, for the Eastern Conference Final. So I think there's a lot out there to play for. And listen, mathematically, they can still win the Supporter Shield and set things up really nicely to not have to travel beyond that first round. So, no, I think that everything is there to play for. That you go out, you try to get the 3 points against Red Bulls on Saturday night, and then you figure out what happens in Philadelphia. You know, if the Union win, obviously they take care of business and deservedly will be Supporter Shield champions. If not, and they drop points, it gets really interesting on decision day.
Only team in the league other than San Diego, only team maybe in the Eastern Conference, I should say, Cincinnati, that has double digit wins on the road, 10
Yeah.
2 going into this game with Red Bull. Why have they been so good away from Cincinnati?
It's remarkable. Most road wins in Major League Soccer since 2023, right? And they tied that post shootout era league record with a win at Sports Illustrated Stadium in the matchup this weekend if they get the victory. So it's a great question and one that I probably brought up. I think this is including other competitions. I think this is our 40th match day, so I've had a lot of pregame interviews with Pat Noonan so far, and I brought it up a few times, right? And he said, "Man, if I had a direct answer, I'd bottle it up and sell it." But the team certainly has shown on the road to have the focus, to be able to lock in away from home, and it's crazy because the home form, if you go back to 2023, remember, and the start of last season was so good for so long, that it's been kind of shocking to the system to see some of the points dropped at TQL Stadium. Because if not, then you're talking about FC Cincinnati has a chance and controls their own destiny with the Supporter Shield right now. Instead, they've been remarkable on the road. They've gone in and they've been able to control matches early. Look at the last two road games. You go to LA and you control that match early. You go to Portland and you control that match early, and you kind of set the tone, which has been big. So no doubt they'll be trying to do the same thing in this matchup.
Tom, last time that I saw you was in Cincinnati for the
Yeah.
US Cup. These teams, though, haven't played since the very first game of the regular season in February. I know when we saw each other late July, early August, it was trying to fit some of the new pieces
Yep.
uh, from the signings over the transfer window. Tell me the update as to some of the new players and how they're settling in.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to see some new faces come in and be able to contribute to what FC Cincinnati is doing. It's crazy when we sit here and have this conversation. 217 days since they played, last regular season match against each other, and both these teams will look a little bit different, and the storylines obviously have changed since we saw each other at the beginning of the year. But that part aside, new guys in. You have Ender Echenike. He's been in the longest of the guys who came in during the summer window, and unbelievable pace. Has been playing on the right side of that wingback position and is able just to run by guys and set things up in the attack. Then an old familiar face. Brenner is back and now wearing number 8. And I think people scratch their head and say, "Why is a striker wearing number 8?" Well, remember his friend Marco Angulo, who sadly died in a car accident down South America. He's honoring him wearing number 8. So maybe not a striker's number, but it's been all right for him. He scored 3 goals already for the Orange and Blue since his return to FC Cincinnati. So Brenner's back into the mix. You have Ayub Jabari, who's been in the mix as another really big physical striker. And then Sammy Guidi's been a guy who has stepped in and played in that defensive midfield. Of course, Obina Wobodo was hurt in mid-July in the match against Columbus, and a pretty serious injury to the point where they were talking season-ending injury list in order to get that spot in that cap room back. Instead, he convinced them he'd be ready, and by all accounts from Pat Noonan, he's had a great week of training and could be in the mix for selection in this matchup. But Sammy Guidi has stepped in, a young kid from Ghana who has done well. He has pace. He doesn't quite bring the same physicality that Brian Anunga did in playing in there in place of Obi. But no, he's another guy who's been really exciting. He'll certainly be a bright part of the future. But you didn't know how much a guy like that would actually factor at this point, and with Obi out, they've had to find different guys to pick up the slack. And then you have Dominic Marchuk who came in, and he's been able to get involved and settle in quickly because he was playing at RSL, so already knew Major League Soccer. Same with Brenner, right? Brenner, you're bringing back in same coaches, same training facility, same team, just some different teammates, and he's been able to settle in. So they've definitely, Chris Albright was very busy in the summer window and addressed all of the team's needs and trying to make this push to the playoffs and, the ultimate goal of playing in the MLS Cup final.
Tommy, real quick before I let you go,
Yeah.
obviously everyone right now scoreboard watching, depending on trying to get in the playoffs. Cincinnati's key, trying to put pressure on Philadelphia. What's the message been from Pat Noonan, other than maybe the obvious, which is we can only take care of ourselves?
Yeah, I think that's the key right there is that you can't really worry about what else is going on. You're not playing Philadelphia a decision day or something along those lines that would be able to influence it, right? You're playing Rebels and Montreal, two teams that will not qualify for the playoffs this season. So, yeah, you got to go out, you got to take care of yourself, and then you're going to let the cards lie however they fall. And this team needs to find their peak performance going into the end of October. Now, different than what New York put together, making that run to MLS Cup final last year. If you peak in July, that's cool and you pick up a lot of points, but that's not really going to help you come October and November get to that championship final the first week of December. So I think right now it's just focusing internally on a team, and I think, and I've had some conversations this week with folks. The big question will be figuring out what your best 11 looks like. You have Obi coming back in the team. You have Matt Miazga coming back in the team. Obviously, Roman Celentano is your starting goalkeeper when he returns. All those guys healthy in training this week. But I think that's a really big decision over these two games for Pat Noonan to figure out so that when he gets to that game one of the first round, he knows who his best 11 is, assuming that everybody's healthy.
Tommy, appreciate the time. Safe flight. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Can't wait.